If you are ever going to do something in life, whether it's entrepreneurship, whether it's leadership, whether it's raising a child, you will have to build the skill of resiliency. So stay tuned today as we discuss the superpower of resiliency in life and entrepreneurship. You know who I am. I'm your host, Attorney Jamila Moore, where I help you start, structure, and grow your business while legally protecting your business, your brand, and your profits. You know what I tell y'all all the time, make sure you own your business through trademarking. Make sure that you are protecting your intellectual property and make sure that you're able to really make money off of your smarts. Now, today, we have someone who is making money off of her smarts and has done a great deal of work, not only in the finance community, but also in the mental health community. We have Oyedemola McCracken. So she is a professional that began in mental health and education sectors. That's where she first found her calling in counseling and resource development. If that wasn't enough, in 2011, she took her career to a whole nother level into the finance world as a resource development coordinator at ECMS. Her passion for accounting and financial services led her to establish on site taxes and financial solutions in 2017. As the CEO, she's been helping people and businesses make sure that they have the right tax strategy that they need and making sure that they are getting that bookkeeping taken together. If you're a business owner, you know that's important. In addition, she also founded the network in 2022, aimed to develop communities and empower them and embody so they can embody what it means to make a difference and be a leader. In every role, she brings balance to mental health, finances, and leadership. We are so lucky to have you today, Oyen. I call her Oyen, but we actually call her Honey. Okay, and she's going to tell you
Yes.
about that in a second. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you. I'm so honored to be on this platform with you. You all are so blessed to have Jamila at your fingertips weekly. Y'all just do not know.
I receive. Let's jump right in. So, resiliency, what does that mean?
Resiliency, if you can always think of it, I think of it as rising to the occasion.
Hmm.
um, Not stopping, not allowing something, whatever obstacle you may feel or have that comes in front of you to overtake you. Always finding a solution. I'm very solution focused. So just don't give up.
Yeah, so we have to always find a solution and we have to not give up. So when we think about that, we know that we have our entrepreneurs here and we have people who are just leaders in all different walks of life. And so we're all called to find solutions and we're all called to never give up. Can you tell me about a time when maybe you were starting one of your businesses where you had to use the superpower of resiliency?
Oh, amen. That's the story of my life. I'm like, oh, she's just calling it out. I exude it. That is who I am. Like she stated, I started out doing mental health. And I had a very good career in mental health, but my finances were dead. uh, Anyone that works in the public service field knows that when we choose to lead with our passion of helping people, we may not get the financial reward that comes from that, especially doing it on a 9 to 5. And I started seeing myself being jaded, not in reference to the people I was working with, but depriving me. How can I be a person who is speaking wellness and love and self into other people, but I am being deprived? And at that point, I was being deprived financially, living check to check and have a master's degree and have specializations and certifications. But what does that mean when I'm looking at my check and it's nothing? And my husband had already told me, I think you should learn how to do taxes. He knew a lady that did taxes, and he was like, she's a millionaire. You got to try it. And I was like, no, that's not for me. I can't do it. But God bless me. That's one good thing about him. His grace and mercy lands forever. I missed it that time. And then 2 years it came again. And I was able to really to take on it. I didn't let it pass that time. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to try it. And from there, I tried it. And that first year, I didn't know that many people, but I made $2,000, and it motivated me. Like, wow, I can really produce for myself. And that was my first time working for myself. And then the year after that, I made 15,000. I doubled it. And then from there, it doubled again and doubled again to, I was making six figures. And it got to a point where I was just like, thank you, God. This is the freedom that you gave me. So that was definitely a time of me being resilient, because I knew it was something that I needed. I had already identified that I needed more financial help. And he gave me the opportunity to make it. And I met him halfway and made sure I made that money.
She made sure she made that money. That is so key. So, one of the things that I'm taking away from you is we can't really use the superpower of resiliency if we actually don't go out there and try. And
Definitely.
if we're going to try, we have to have the courage to actually use what's in our hands. And one of the things that you said to yourself, once your husband said, "Hey, I think this is something you should do," at first you said, "Not me." But then you came back to the table and you said, "Why not me?" And so I
Yeah.
just want the people here to really muster up that strength and muster up that courage with whatever it is that you're facing in life, whatever it is situation you're in, and say, why not me? Why can I not do this? Right? You can. And it
Yes.
literally is about taking that first step. And you hit a nerve because, child, when I got out of law school, I was a little annoyed. I was like, "Hi, I got 3 degrees and I'm making less money than I made as an educator,"
Okay.
right? And that's how I started my own business. I literally said, "Well, I'm gonna have to find some other clients and do some legal work because this 9 to 5 is not going to give me the lifestyle that I want." And so, for folks here, you have to dig deep and really, I want you to push yourself right now and figure out, am I living the life I want to live? And if not,
Yeah.
what can I do about it?
And it's so beautiful you said that, because that whole spiel is self reflection. A lot of times we don't want to look at ourselves, but how are you going to grow? And growing is key. Evaluation is the only way to grow. You need to know if you need to cut something off. You need to know if you need to water something a little bit more. That's what's going to make you succeed to the top. And if you're not able to look at yourself from not coming from a place of hurt or like being resentful, but just coming from a place of clarity, being honest with yourself. I think that's the first step too. A lot of times we may want things or imagine it, but we're not really looking at what is it going to take to actually achieve that goal, and is it tangible, and should we obtain it, because it may not even be something that your spirit needs for you to thrive.
That's so good. That is so good. And one of the things that I think most people sometimes miss is that we're called to growth and development. It is
Yeah.
a non-negotiable that we grow and we develop. And
Yeah.
so if we're staying at a place or saying things of like, well, this is just how I am, things are never going to change, we're out of alignment with who we're supposed to be as people of God. And so
Mhm.
sometimes resiliency just starts with what you're saying to yourself. And so,
Yeah.
how have you navigated having to say the right things to yourself?
Oh, I love on me. And that was so good when you said saying that manifestation is real. And look, I know, look, anybody who watches Jamila, you already know she is a woman of the Lord. So it is nothing for us to talk about that spirituality. But I'm going to start with that. You got to be okay with your convictions. You have to be okay with who you are internally with yourself before you can even move out to that next level. So when you are definitely reflecting and looking back and going towards whatever that future may be, it's going to be definitely more successful.
That's so good, Oyen. And as you were speaking, one of the things that leaped out to me was daring to dream.
Yes.
And that when we talk about that resiliency in life and in entrepreneurship, you have to be able to dream bigger, and you have to be at a place where you will value yourself to go after the dream. And so you own a few businesses, like the girl is the girl, okay? We will talk about Oyen years from now as she's gracing stages and doing various things
Oh,
in
thank
the
you.
finance world and in the mental health world. How do you dream again after like
Mm.
a letdown?
Ooh, that's a good one. And I'm going to give a little quick story just to tell somebody how to hold on to faith. But this was a very monumental point in my life. So when I was getting ready to graduate from high school, I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. Whoop, whoop. I'm from Clayton County. I love you, Clayton County, but I'm going to put y'all on the spot. We lost our accreditation a couple years ago. Y'all know about that. Y'all lost that accreditation because they were passing kids up. And I was one of those kids. My parents were first, generation, they're Nigerian. And I was first generation African American. So my dad traveled a lot as a truck driver. And my mom, she helped me where I could. But the teachers knew that there was fundamental things that I did not know. And they passed me up. And I don't know for what reason. We're not getting into that. But I get to senior year of high school. I failed the class. I had enough resilience in me to pass that class. But then I had to pass my core. And in most states, it's four components: your math, your science, your language arts, social studies. And I could not pass science. I don't know why. I kept on failing it by 1, 2 point. And they were like, you know what? We're going to let you walk because you were close, but you don't have your diploma. And I didn't have my diploma, and I was so sad. I walked, and everybody was going to school, and I didn't because I couldn't pass a test. So then I had really gotten to the point in my own faith and religion with God on my own, knowing Jesus for myself, where
Knowing.
I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to my favorite psalm. My favorite psalm was Psalm 4, verse 4, and it says, be angry, do not sin, meditate within thy heart, and offer sacrifices of the righteous. So, what it means is you can feel how you want to feel. You can do all of that. But when it affects you to the point where you're sinning, and sometimes we look at sin and we take it so literal and we don't understand that it may just mean blocking our own way, not being able to produce the things that we need to produce. It affects you with your emotions. So you have to take a time to step back and reflect. I took 3 days. I cried in my room. I told my mom, I don't want to do nothing for these 3 days. And when I'm done with these 3 days, I'm going to find me a job. And I said, not only am I going to find me a job, I said, I'm going to work at my favorite restaurant so I can learn how to make that crab meat. I'm going to make me some money. I'm going to pass this test and I'm going to go to school the next semester. And I did exactly that. I went to work at Ryan's Buffet. Anybody know Ryan's when it was good? I loved it. I learned how to make their crab meat. I worked. I saved up money. I finally passed in October. My high school diploma says October of the following year. And I was able to get me a scholarship after that and went to school at Alcorn State University. Whoop, whoop. But I say that to say I was down, but I had enough sense of knowing myself and what my core values are. And for me, my core values rely in the Lord. And if that's not for you, that is okay. But I'm just talking about me. And I knew he would guide me. And I knew if I said, I'm going to do this, even from that young age, and I trust in him, and I actually walk towards it, I'm going to do it. And I did exactly what I wanted to do. And I apply that with any and everything in my life. I always tell people the reason why I'm a resilient is because I know I'm going to mess up the first time. I'm probably going to mess up the second time. But what I'm going to tell you is I'm going to get it. I will never stop until I get it. And that's what people know me for. I'm a solution person. Mistakes come, they happen all the time, but I will not allow it to get me down. I will feel how I feel, whatever that feeling is. I give my time to self-reflect. I'm a human and I move on. I always move on.
That's good. That's good. You said so much there. It reminds me of this quote from Les Brown, like when you fall like with your back towards the ground or something like that. Because if you can look up, you can get up. right?
That's
And
right.
so you decided you were going to look up and get up. And that's what resiliency is about. Like, no matter what trial I have faced, no matter what setback I have faced, if I can create an idea to get out of this, a solution to get out of this, if I can make strides towards that solution, then I can do it. So it was a decision followed by a conviction that led to a commitment. I'm going to say that again for y'all.
Mm,
It was a decision followed by a conviction that led to a commitment. And so this is a good time for us to just pause and look at our life and say, where do we need to make a decision, have some conviction, and then commit? I think for right now is me and like this whole health thing. My coach was talking to me the other day. She was like, Jamila, are you gonna eat meat or you're not? I said, I don't want to eat meat. Do you see what's happening out here on the television? I don't want to eat meat, but I eat meat. So, but
okay.
it's a decision that I'm making that health is one of the utmost priorities in my life because it's the one thing that comes back to haunt you later. Right. And
Definitely.
so, what do you say to people who may be living in a space where they didn't make the decision, they didn't have the conviction, they didn't make the commitment, and so now they may be feeling at a maybe in a space where they're feeling like they're haunted in a sense
Mm,
by what they didn't do.
mm. Well, look, if that's you, come on in, zoom up a little closer to me so I can tell you this. You're enough. You are enough. We have to be okay with understanding that it happened. Now, what am I going to do about it? Your pivot game has to be the strongest thing. I tell people so much, like, my pivot game is so strong. Sleep on me if you want to. And the next time you'll look around, I'll be in front of you. I was definitely behind you, but now I'm in front of you because of my will to not give up. And then, like I said, it always goes back to the core of who you are. Do you love yourself enough to not give up on you? Because sometimes we will put others before us and won't even know that. And look, I was blessed to have Jamila to help me with that in my own ways, because it can come in so many dimensions and paradigms in reference to you, not focusing on you. And ultimately, if it's a goal for you to achieve, how are you going to make it there? We just you got to find a way to it, and also be open to collaboration. I think sometimes a lot of people feel like you have to do things alone, and we're not meant to do things alone. That's just not how we were designed.
That's so good. And she coming down my street now. I'm getting over this hyper independence that I used to have. Look, I don't even claim it anymore that I used to have. It was there.
Good. That's the start.
It's gone, but you tapped into a piece of when you are going through a moment where you have to tap into that superpower of resiliency, you need community. And
Yes.
especially for those that are leaders and especially for those that are entrepreneurs, because one month sales might be slow. One month this might be
Yes.
happening. Life may be happening and you can't even focus on your business, but you cannot give up. And one of the things that I want us to zoom in on, because we have the rare grace of someone who knows business and knows mental health. How do you help people walk through the emotional
Mm.
journey of resilience? Because it's easy to give steps, but then when whoever gets to talking to you, that thing where they used to have on Fresh Prince, where the angel was on the one side of those, it's
Yeah,
it's really true.
it is.
Two voices talking to you, and then you have to navigate that, and whichever voice you let leads plays off your emotions. So how do we navigate that?
Definitely. And look, I'm like, I hate that we keep on going back to it, but you see, you got them two people talking. The one person in the middle is you. So if you defining exactly like what is it I want to do, especially when it comes to business, there are some things that have to be separated, and then there's some things if you don't have it, you need to pray for it, which is discernment. You have to know when to give and when to stop. And in certain things in business, you should understand I shouldn't even be overthinking it. Example, money. If you just didn't make no money, you didn't make any money. It's not anything that you need to look into or say, well, I didn't do this. At the end of the day, it's you didn't make any money. So what can you do to make money? And you probably have feelings, which is displacement. Sometimes we displace our feelings. We feel a way about something that has totally nothing to do with the present problem that we're dealing with in our business. So you could be complaining about saying, I'm not making any money and all of this going on. But really, what's going on is you're at home, and I'm just going to make something random up, but you're a single mom, you're tired. You get home, you're tired. You got your kids, and your energy is shifted. You're not able to focus on things because you may be resentful for the things that are not there that you feel that should be in place. So if you're resentful and you're feeling a certain way, then what's going to happen is those feelings are going to be inside of you and they're going to come out. Now, whether you're acknowledging if those feelings are coming out or not, you are going to start processing it, and you're going to exude whatever that feeling is. And whatever comes out of it is your handiwork. And what I mean by that is, if she's overwhelmed and she's tired and she knows she has things to do, when she comes home, she doesn't do it. She goes to sleep. Sleep is a form of depression sometimes. Sleep can be a form of avoidance. So you're avoiding getting this task done because you've already said, well, these are things I have to do first, versus prioritizing how to get the work done. So hopefully that helped a little bit.
No, I'm pretty sure that helps someone. And I think one of the things that folks can take away is when you're in these seasons or these moments where you are faced with whether you're going to be resilient or you're going to give up. The best thing you
Mhm.
can do is jot down your feelings on the positive ones and the negative ones. And then in the middle is like the reality and the truth, and make a choice to walk towards the positive ones. One of the things that I am huge on is affirmations.
Me too.
And then also having Bible verses that will just encourage me. So on my Spotify playlist, I have a playlist for everything, but there is an encouragement one where life, because you cannot escape affliction in life, especially if you're
Yeah.
living a life walking towards God. And so it's not if something will happen, it is when something will happen. And then how do I frame what's happening? And one of the things that I love to talk about is that moment in the garden where Eve, made a different choice
Yep.
because she didn't hold on to truth, and
Yep.
she allowed something to enter her mind that wasn't truth. And so
So
we
right.
all have to learn from that lesson of always going back to discover truth. And I think about that Bible
Mhm.
verse that says, live in spirit and in truth. Don't live in facts, don't live in circumstances, live in truth. What is the promises of God? And so when you hold on to that, it'll also help you really become resilient and operate in the way that you should be operating so that you can go to the places you're supposed to go, you know?
Definitely. And just to piggyback and add, because I love the affirmations too, I put them on my Instagram. It's not even for people. When I post stuff on my story, I swear it is for me. Anytime I'm feeling down or if I have something negative, I will go back and look at that story because, like you said, I'm playing it in my mind. I'm understanding that my psyche needs some support. So that's an unconscious way to support myself. I love what you said about the playlist. Music moves us. Music has always been in time of being a spiritual something, being something that can urge us and provoke different types of feelings. That's why they say it's so important what you listen to, what you take in, and what you consume. So you have to be looking into that. But just to add again, Jamila, I think the reason why you're able to put things and compartmentalize on what you need is because you know yourself well. You already know what you need. You already know what's going to work and what ain't going to work. And I think I keep going back to that because the main part of resilience is knowing yourself. How can you be resilient if you don't know where you're going or where you came from? So I just wanted to add that. That was really some good nuggets that you just said.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that knowing yourself, this just keeps coming up. And sometimes when I'm in different spaces, I look at people and I see from that lens, like, man, if they really knew who they were, man, if they really,
Yes,
sat down with God and figured out some things, a lot could be very different for them. Um, and so it is one of those things where if you are at a place where you are not comfortable in your life, this is now the time for you to do the deep work to get to know yourself,
definitely.
right? And get to know yourself outside of a role that you play. So it doesn't matter if you're a mom, it doesn't matter if you're a wife, it doesn't matter if you're a husband, it doesn't matter if you're a pastor, it doesn't matter if you're a brother. Like, who are you at your core, and what is your purpose here on earth?
Mhm. And then sometimes people look at purpose and may get too deep and then want to just quit because they're thinking like you have to be something great, you have to be something grand. That might not be for you. I, especially with the way social media comes, it's a love and hate for me with social media because it's so influential, just like it said, having influencers. And then a lot of times, if you don't have your solid core, it's easy to be influenced. So, like you said, you just have to know what it is for you and be okay with that and not set a goal to someone else. Because sometimes we can look at other people and desire what they want or feel like we may deserve that, and that might not be for you.
Yeah. And it goes back to just figuring out what's going on with you in your journey and how that has to roll out. And so I think that is key, most definitely, most definitely. And if I think about your journey in entrepreneurship and, starting out for at least a decade now, what has been some moments for you where you've had to build up resiliency and tap into that superpower?
I'll do a recent one because I'm finna put Jamila on the spot and let y'all know why you should be getting your girl because she's over here blessing y'all with gems all the time, and y'all don't know she is a soldier for you when she worked for you. And I say that because she talks about it all the time. And I was looking at her post when she was like, "You may not even own your business," and it just hit me like. You know what? It's so many places and people where, and I hate to use that, but it's just so many times that people get great and they're doing things, but you didn't go through the foundational steps. You don't even know the basic parts that you need, and then you felt like you have arrived. And it is what it is. We're in a world with a lot of people, and someone said I can seize the opportunity because I see there's a loophole of something they lack. And I had that happen to me myself at last year, towards the beginning of this year. And I was like, thank God I met Jamila. That was a grace. And just talking to her about that. And she helped me get past that. And some of the things that I got past was understanding that my kindness and being nice is not the same, and knowing that I don't have to I don't have to pour into anyone but myself, because sometimes as healers, you may give too much, or you could be the opposite and just be a taker and you may take too much. But you have to know where that line stands. So that definitely was a recent moment for me that I would love to share. Is like, I had to look back and say, well, you know what? Let me evaluate what I'm doing. And I identified that I'm being nice when I don't have no need to be nice. I'm already kind. And kindness comes with a grace that is given when you have integrity. And Jamila was helped me to instill that integrity a little bit more in my business when it comes to contracts and when it comes to going with people. Even though you trust someone, you can't do face value, unfortunately. At this time, we can't just make agreements off of words. Even if you worked with someone like me, I had worked with someone for years, 3 4 5 years, and would have never thought that. But that's what it is. Life changes. So we have to be able to make sure, and I'm just saying this from a standpoint of where I was lacking at. I needed more legal coverage, I needed more legal protection.
No, that's so good. And it's just helpful for me to be even more self aware as we're talking about it. But you hit on something. You don't have to come to those hard moments as much when you proactively get protection
Yes,
in your business. When you proactively go to a trustworthy attorney where they are literally, my assignment and purpose is to make sure you're protected and secured, and that you're thinking about all the things that you don't know to think about because your goal is, running your business and managing your profits. And so lawyers help you build resiliency in your business.
all right. And trustworthy, she said, is very, very, you would be surprised. I came through a couple frogs before I got to Jamila. You would be surprised how many, because you got to remember, people are human. So you
Yes.
can't sit there and judge them by the caliber of their credentials. You have to look at the caliber of what they're giving to you when it comes to their work and their handmanship of crafting whatever it is you're working with. So yeah, definitely. I think that was good you said that. Trustworthy. Yes.
Because it's one of those things, I don't know, it's like just in case. Like you always have to have the just in case. And I think
Yes.
that's a huge part of living a resilient life and tapping into that
Yes.
superpower, because you can always trust that people will people at some point. Right.
Definitely.
And it may, and it's not a judgment or an indictment onto anyone, but it is something where people will people. So in the office, one day your boss could come in and just start tripping. Right. But how have you set up, your protections to make sure that that doesn't come and mess with your day? And I think that's so many times where people end up in places and spaces where they're not valued in the workforce. How
Yeah.
could people build resiliency when they feel like maybe their boss or someone at work is coming after them and not being fair?
Stop ignoring red flags.
Ooh.
When you see things, and I mean that can be in any aspect of your life, but you already knew that. You was in the meeting with Karen, I'm just using the name, and Karen said a little jokey joke 2 times, making fun of something that you did well that she was a little resentful about, or maybe you did something a higher boss may have liked, and she's cattily in a joke making fun of it. But you have to acknowledge what people give you. Displacement is real. We are all human, even yourself. It talks about in the Bible, it says, trust no man. You can't trust yourself. Even you are going to betray you. And that's one thing about being resilient. When you understand that and you're just like, okay, I already know everybody has the time, they're going to fail. I'm going to even fail myself too. And I'm okay with that. But long as I know where my source is, if you have that in you and you're like, I'm able to know, I can always call up on him, then you will have a mindset that will get you to the point where it's like, why would I be upset? Because I knew it's a possibility it could happen. I know I am not exempt. No one is exempt. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the things that you're really pulling out is like the reality of life. And, as much as we have our vision and things of that nature, we have to be flexible for reality, and
Yes.
just understanding that when reality hits and it doesn't hit favorably is not something for us to just go down and fall with. It's time for us to tap into our resiliency plan. So, Oyen,
Definitely.
if you could give the audience a plan or like a 1, 2, 3 stepper for how to maintain resilience or build resilience in their life, because that impacts entrepreneurship, leadership, everything, what would those 3 steps be?
Okay. Oh, good. 3 steps. Wake up the morning with gratitude. And if you learn mindfulness, you will understand that if you already start off in a place of positivity, because when you're grateful and you're appreciating things, those are positive. I'm alive. Oh, I woke up this morning. Sometimes it might just be that one little thing. I woke up this morning. Any negative self-doubt that you have to acknowledge it and identify it. One of the things you said, I think that was, well, write it down, put it in your book, and then prove yourself wrong. Show yourself the pros and the cons. And I love that when you said that, but I'm not gonna get into that. But The pros and the cons are so important because one, those pros will remind you what is good. And sometimes you may look in that list of cons may be way longer than the pros, but the pros have more worth. They're more stronger, they're more solidified, and you might be nitpicking over little things that are not even that meaningful. So, gratitude, then be mindful. Start off and understand what's in your mind and how you're moving. And then the third part, which is the most important thing, call to action. You have to have a call to action after you've identified whatever it is. It could be something so simple as I'm gonna cook today. I know I don't know how to cook, but you know what? I woke up this morning and I said, I'm going to try it today. I'm going to make grandma's biscuits. All right. So, how are you going to make grandma's biscuits? I'm going to call her. So, not only are you reiterating, I'm actually going to do this, I'm taking actions. Now, when you're calling grandma, that's mindfulness. She's reminding you, all right, don't forget that buttermilk. We don't use that cheap little deep. You get you that buttermilk. Make sure you get that butter. And look, she might even tell you some other things, but she's reassuring into you and giving you support that it can be done and you can do it. Then you go and execute it. So those are my 3 little steps. And I know sometimes that may be harder, but you have to start off with a positive mindset. If you start off negatively, how are you going to be resilient if you are the person that is drowning yourself?
That's so good. That's so good. Any final thoughts on this topic here today?
Oh, I love it. I'm thinking because I want to give y'all some good things of substance. Um, my final thought and what I want to leave you all with when it comes to resilience is to remember resilience also has a part of starting over again. It's okay. Start over again. If you knew how many times I started over this year, you would be shocked. I started over again today with something else. But at the end of the day, it gave me more clarity because it reminded me you're moving away from something that doesn't work, which is giving me a solution. So it doesn't matter what field you're in, what industry, you could just like coming on here and listening to Jamila just because the fact it gives you substance. And make sure you take this away from that substance is pour into you. It's so important to really understand you. And people joke all the time and say, oh man, but it's really, really important. Pour into you. Then you can be resilient because it won't matter what comes your way. You already know, well, I got me. And if you're like me, you're going to be like, well, shoot, if I fail me, it don't matter because God got me, baby, because I be messing up so much. He'll come right here and just be like, you know what? It's okay, baby. You dropped that, but I got it for you. I'm picking it back up for you. And I'm able to acknowledge that and be like, dang, thank you, God. You knew I was going to mess up, but you gave it to me. And here, let me go again. Thank you for allowing me your grace to try again. And then I try again.
Well, y'all, she done laid it out for us. We have our steps. We know we got to pour into ourselves. We know we need to have the right source. And then we know we have to, remove ourselves from the fear of starting over again. And so for those of you all that are entrepreneurs and you want to make sure you started your business right, you want to make sure you have a trustworthy partner to help walk with you step by step, to pour into you, to make sure that if you are starting over and entrepreneurship is new to you, that you are in the right space. You want to make sure you connect with me at I Am and More or sign up for a free discovery call at IamandMore.com. Yo, it has been great. We thank you for pouring out your heart and your expertise with us. Honey, I love to call her Honey. She'll tell y'all on her Instagram what it means, so go follow her.
Yes.
But it's time for us to be more, to grow more, and to do more. So I will see you all soon. Take care.